Imagine two people sitting down on a Sunday evening to plan their week. At first glance, they seem identical. Same age, same education, same city, and similar intelligence. However, one earns about $1,400 a month, while the other makes around $3,500. As you observe them closely, a striking difference emerges. The person earning less doesn't just plan differently, they think differently. This is not due to a lack of ability or motivation. Instead, a hidden biological system has taken control, one that's built for survival, not for growth. This system shapes their decisions, focus, risk tolerance, and perception of what is possible, often without them realizing it. Welcome to the channel. My name is Unk. If this is your first time here, we break down the psychology and systems behind money in a way that makes sense in real life. Make sure you subscribe because this discussion goes deep. There's a concept in neuroscience and behavioral economics that doesn't get enough attention in personal finance circles. It's the idea that financial scarcity impacts not just your bank account, but also your mental capacity. Cognitive bandwidth refers to the amount of mental energy available at any moment for thinking, deciding, planning, and imagining. When financial stress consumes that bandwidth, what's left for creativity, strategy, long-term thinking, relationship building, and skill development shrinks significantly. Research shows that this shift is most dramatic around the $2,000 per month mark. This isn't a magic number, but below it, people begin to feel uncomfortable knowing there's not enough of a buffer. When that happens, survival mode kicks in. To grasp why this matters, you need to understand survival mode at a neurological level. It's not just a metaphor. It's a real shift in how your prefrontal cortex and limbic system work together. Under stable conditions, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for long-term planning, impulse control, abstract thinking, and creative problem solving, leads your decision making. However, when your nervous system detects ongoing threats, financial instability feels threatening, just like physical danger. The limbic system gains more control, focusing on immediate relief over future gain, short-term certainty over long-term possibility, and familiar patterns over new ones. This means that the person earning $1,400 a month isn't just struggling financially. Their brain is wired around a different set of priorities than someone with a comfortable buffer. Let's make this concrete with some numbers. Consider someone earning $1,600 a month in a city where rent is $900, groceries and transportation cost $400, and phone and utilities take another $150. This leaves them with about $150 for everything else: emergencies, investment, education, or unexpected expenses. That $150 represents a margin of zero. Just one flat tire, minor illness, missed shift, or unexpected bill can turn that amount into a deficit. The brain is constantly aware of this and calculates it all the time. Researchers at Princeton and Harvard have identified this constant mental calculation as a cognitive tax, a steady drain on mental resources, similar to running a heavy application in the background of a computer. Everything else slows down, especially the very things that could help escape this situation: creativity, patience, strategic planning, and the ability to endure short-term discomfort for long-term change. Now, let's explore the systemic aspect, because this isn't just a personal issue. It's a built-in feature of how financial instability perpetuates itself. The cruelest part of the survival mode ceiling is that it undermines the very skills needed to break through it. The person who needs to think clearly about money the most often has the least ability to do so at that moment. The one who must take calculated risks to increase their income typically has a suppressed risk tolerance due to chronic stress. Meanwhile, the person who should focus on skill building and long-term strategy has their attention consumed by immediate concerns, the next bill, the next shift, the next small crisis. This is not a personal failing, it's a systemic issue. Thus, the solution must be structural, not just motivational, and understanding this difference is the first step toward addressing the problem. So, what does it look like when someone breaks through this ceiling? What changes for them? The key shift isn't merely the income itself, it's the transformation in identity and self-concept when the scarcity signal diminishes, even slightly. Research reveals that people don't change their actions first and then their identity. It often works the other way around. The identity shift needs to happen first, even if it's small or fragile. One practical way to create that shift below the $2,000 threshold is to establish artificial buffers, small, protected amounts of money set aside with no purpose other than to signal to your nervous system that there's some margin, some space, that the emergency isn't endless. Even having $200 in a separate account can start to change the brain's threat assessment, leading to enough relief in the prefrontal area to start making different decisions. The goal of this video isn't to claim that money solves everything, because it doesn't. It also isn't to imply that struggle means failure, because that isn't true either. Instead, it aims to provide a framework for why growth feels so impossible at certain income levels, not due to a lack of capability, but because your brain functions as it was designed to under perceived scarcity. Once you understand this mechanism, you can begin to work with it rather than against it. This involves building small buffers, easing cognitive load, and gradually shifting the signals your nervous system receives about your safety. Safety is where growth begins. Growth isn't a luxury. It becomes possible when survival no longer has a tight grip. The first step is simply recognizing that this ceiling exists, that it has a biological basis, and that understanding it is quietly the beginning of rising above it. If this helped you see things differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. That's the most powerful action you can take.